I'm Paula Solmerano, bringing you today's burning issues and the hottest news here on News Force.
Here are today's headlines. President Rodrigo Duterte says PNP Chief Ronald De La Rosa has no criminal intent in G kidnap slay. PNP Chief De La Rosa says anti-kidnapping group reshuffle underway. Government maintains ceasefire despite AFP-NPA clash in Cotabato. Solons call anew for conscience vote on death penalty reimposition. Food aid cutbacks provoke anguish in Central African Republic. Disney says next Star Wars film will be called The Last Jedi. Fair and balanced news, comprehensive reports that take you to the heart of the action. This is News Force.
For the top story, President Rodrigo Duterte said Philippine National Police Chief Director General Ronald Bato de la Rosa should not be blamed for the killing of a South Korean businessman inside Camp Crame. President Duterte pointed out de la Rosa has no criminal intent in the slay case. Here's the story.
Philippine National Police Chief Director General Ronald Bato de la Rosa allegedly has no criminal intent in the kidnap-slay case of a South Korean businessman inside Camp Crame. President Rodrigo Duterte said this as he came to the defense of embattled de la Rosa last Sunday. President Duterte said de la Rosa is not to be blamed for the killing of businessman G. Ik-ju, who was kidnapped and killed by policemen. According to the president, there are ways of committing crime. It can be either through felony, malice, or negligence. Mr. Duterte claimed from the looks of it, he did not see any criminal intent on the part of De La Rosa, given that no one wanted the incident to happen. Some urged De La Rosa to quit after the Department of Justice revealed that G was killed inside Camp Crame, a few steps away from his office last October. Co-accused SPO4 Roy Villegas claimed that SPO3 Ricky Santa Isabel strangled G to death. Meantime, the DOJ has approved the filing of kidnapping and homicide charges against Santa Isabel, Villegas, and 5 others who are allegedly involved in the kidnap-slay case. Last week, House Speaker Pantaleon Alvarez urged De La Rosa to resign, claiming that the heinous crime was an insult and a clear indication that he has lost the respect of the people. For GNN, the Global News Network, this is Paula Solmerano.
In other news, the Duterte government needs Philippine National Police Chief Ronald Bato de la Rosa on the country's war against drugs, according to presidential spokesperson Ernesto Abella. Jeline Fule has the news.
Despite the kidnap slay of Korean businessman G. Ik-ju, which transpired inside Camp Crame, presidential spokesperson Ernesto Abella maintains that the administration needs PNP Chief Ronald Bato de la Rosa in the country's intensified battle against illegal drugs. G's abduction and killing was tagged as tokhang for ransom. PNP Chief De La Rosa admitted that it was a shame for him and the whole police force that such crime happened just inside the main headquarters of the Philippine National Police. However, this incident doesn't seem to have a bearing for President Rodrigo Duterte when he rejected De La Rosa's resignation and insisted the police chief to stay in his position and asked him to keep going. The president expressed his complete trust on the PNP chief. Meantime, Secretary Abella also denied allegations that President Duterte's maintained support for De La Rosa meant that he tolerated police calawags. Secretary Abella noted that the tokhang for ransom cases only showed that De La Rosa was needed in pursuing police calawags. Meantime, controversies like this do not seem to avoid De La Rosa, as amid an ongoing investigation on G's case, another Korean national was allegedly victimized by unscrupulous police officer assigned with the Police Regional Office 3. For GNN, the Global News Network, this is Jeline Fule.
Despite some members allegedly linked to the kidnapping and killing of South Korean businessman G. Ik-ju, the Philippine National Police stressed on Tuesday that the National Police Force's morale remains high. PNP spokesperson Senior Superintendent Jonardo Carlos said the incident is just a small dent compared to the efforts and improvements that they contributed to the current government. while the PNP admitted they were affected by the involvement of some cops in the kidnap slay of the South Korean national. Carlos said this would not demolish the morale of the police force. Meanwhile, Carlos claimed the term tokhang for ransom is erroneous. Rather, G's case is considered hulidap modus operandi. Carlos also clarified that there are no high-ranking officials involved in the kidnap slay of G. Meantime, PNP Chief Ronald Bato de la Rosa announced members of the Philippine National Police Anti-Kidnapping Group will be reshuffled following recent controversies hounding the country's police force. Ara Perez has the details.
To uplift the morale of every policeman and to topple criminality and illegal drugs in 3 to 6 months. These are Rodrigo Duterte's promises during the campaign to both the Philippine National Police and civilians before he catapulted to the presidency on June 30, 2016. 7 months into the Duterte administration, cops are set to receive the second in a 4-tranche salary adjustment. The PNP will be granted more equipment and crime rate has gone down to over 30%. But aside from this, the Philippines is facing alleged cases of extrajudicial killings, criticisms from human rights groups due to the government's bloody war on drugs, and recently, crimes reportedly involving policemen, particularly SPO3 Ricky Santa Isabel, among others, who is implicated in the kidnap slay of South Korean businessman G. Ik Ju. With this, PNP Chief Ronald de la Rosa announced the reshuffle of members of the anti-kidnapping group of the National Police. However, Senior Superintendent Glenn Dumlao will keep his post as Director of PNP AKG. De la Rosa cleared Dumlao, who assumed office in December, from liabilities in the issue, saying it was the director who solved the kidnapping case. The PNP chief said he is convinced Jinky Santa Isabel, wife of SPO3 Santa Isabel, is only diverting accusations against those who are investigating her to save her husband from the case. For his part, the PNP top brass is also bound to stay. Amid calls for his resignation from some lawmakers and citizens, as reinforced by the president, Duterte said De La Rosa has his trust and confidence and vowed there is no stopping the government in its anti-crime drive, even when those involved may be the country's own law enforcers. For GNN, the Global News Network, this is Ara Perez.
Meantime, Justice Secretary Vitaliano Aguirre II said on Monday Chinese gambling tycoon Jack Lam has a protector in the National Bureau of Investigation. Aguirre said this was why he preferred to seek the help of the Philippine National Police in raiding Lam's online casino in Clark, Pampanga. Aguirre revealed he asked assistance from PNP Chief Ronald Bato de la Rosa, who provided him 100 Special Action Force personnel in their raid, which led to the arrest of about 1,600 illegal Chinese workers in Lam's casino. Senator Laila de Lima was given 15 days to respond to the ethics complaint filed against her. The complaint stemmed from her advice to her former aide and alleged bagman, Ronnie Dayan, to defy the summons of Congress during its hearing on the alleged proliferation of illegal drugs at the New Bilibid prison. Well, Rose Bolante has the news.
The Senate Ethics Committee has given Senator Laila de Lima 15 days to respond to the consolidated complaint filed against her for alleged obstruction of a congressional inquiry into the illicit drug trade at the New Bilibid prison. The complaints came after de Lima advised her former aide Ronnie Dayan to snub the House inquiry on the proliferation of illegal drugs in the National Penitentiary. Senate Majority Leader Vicente Soto III, who chairs the Ethics Committee, said out of the 5 complaints, the panel decided to consolidate the 2 complaints filed by House Speaker Pantaleon Alvarez, Majority Leader Rodolfo Fariñas, and Oriental Mindoro Representative Reynaldo Umali, as these were more sufficient in form and substance for the ethics panel to tackle. Soto said they dismissed other complaints due to lack of jurisdiction as the alleged offense was committed while the lady senator was still the Secretary of the Justice Department. The ethics panel would also use the complaint of Attorney Abelardo de Jesus as second supplemental complaint for de Lima's violation of Article 150 or disobedience to summons of National Assembly of the Revised Penal Code. Soto said he will give de Lima the copy of the complaint and order her to submit her response within 15 days. Afterwards, the panel would review de Lima's response and decide whether there is a need for a full-blown hearing or dismiss the complaints. Soto also remained firm in his decision to hold the ethics hearing publicly to ensure transparency. For GNN, the Global News Network, this is Belarus Volante.
The Commission on Elections allotted 10 million pesos for the purchase of voter registration machines for voters expected to sign up during the 2019 polls. 130 units of desktop computers, uninterruptible power supply units, web cameras, signature pads, and fingerprint scanners will be bought this year. COMELEC, through its Bids and Awards Committee, called on interested bidders to apply for eligibility and to bid for the supply and delivery of VRMs and peripherals. Government maintains ceasefire despite AFP-NPA clash in Cotabato. Solons call anew for conscience vote on death penalty reimposition. And Philippines and China agree on $3.7 billion worth of cooperation programs. Stay tuned for those stories and more reports when News Force returns.